Before we begin, we want to acknowledge that some stories and discussions in this episode of Radiant Resilience may touch on sensitive and potentially triggering topics. These may include themes of childhood abuse, domestic violence, miscarriage, substance use, including meth, sexual assault, non consensual contact during sleep, emotional abuse and control, and custody challenges. Our goal is to share real life experiences in a respectful and empathetic manner, offering insights into the complexities of the human spirit and the journey towards resilience. However, we understand that some content might be difficult for listeners. We encourage you to prioritize your well being and discretion when deciding to listen. Please remember this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice or support. If you find yourself needing assistance, we urge you to seek help from qualified professionals or trusted support systems. Your mental and emotional health is important to us. Thank you for your courage and for joining us in a space of understanding and compassion. Welcome back, everyone, to Radiant Resilience. I have a very special guest with me today. I have Kaylea Van Arsdale. She is a business and life coach with a master's in psychology and over 14 years of experience in coaching operations management. She helps aspiring and current entrepreneurs scale their businesses with courses, communities, and masterminds while creating their dream lives with an approach that focuses on resilience, accountability, and actionable strategies to inspire transformation. That is a lovely bio, Kaylea. Welcome. How are you today?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I am really good today. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, we have really lovely weather in Colorado here today, so that's nice.
Yeah, it's finally starting to warm up and we've
Yes.
opened up the windows to air it out. I love that
Mhm.
renewing kind of energy.
Yeah, for sure. So I think I don't know much about your story, but I'm excited to learn more about you and chat about your background and how you came to do what you're doing now. So I'm just going to let you take the reins wherever you want to start, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, so I will start by saying my path has not been an easy one. It has been filled with challenges after challenge. It started with childhood abuse that then formed the way I accepted treatment in relationships as I grew older. I started to
Mhm.
seek more physical type of relationships that were controlling and domineering and just downright unhealthy. And
Mm.
it led me to be around incredibly negative people. I got addicted to drugs. I
Mm.
even took meth once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And coming off of that was enough for me to go, okay, I can see why people are so addicted to it because this down is so terrible.
Yeah, I've
But at
heard that about a lot of the really strong drugs that really like your body has such a reaction to not being on them. That is what forces you. It's not that you're necessarily chasing the high, it's that you're trying to get rid of the icky
get
feeling
rid of the
and the way your
low.
body
Yeah.
feels. Yeah.
And that was like a eye-opening moment for me drug-wise was like, wow, I could see how this could have so much control over me and I don't like the way that feels. So I'm going to decide not to. So
Okay.
while I stopped doing the drugs, I started continuing to have negative, unhealthy relationships. I got pregnant and the child's father threw me against the room because I was so tired. I didn't wash all the dishes when he got home and I miscarried.
Oh my
I
gosh.
had another relationship where the individual tried to do things with me while I was asleep and it was non-consensual. I was just moving all over the place. I went to Alaska, Georgia, Tennessee, Kansas. I just escaping anywhere I could with anyone who would essentially take me. And it was never that kind of healthy, supportive love. And
Mm.
then I ended up in New Orleans with my final abuser.
Mm.
And I was with him for 4 years, and 2 of those years we had a child together. So for 2 years, we were raising a child together. And one day he was holding me down, screaming in my face, and my 2-year-old walked in, and I thought, my mom told me a story about how my dad did this to her and she knew it was time. And here I am. How dare I repeat this for
Mm.
my child? I know I don't have the strength because after 4 years of being slowly torn down and isolated from any support, I didn't have the strength for myself, but my child gave me that strength to go, okay, I need to do better for them.
Mm.
So I called my mom. I said, can I come up and spend a couple weeks? And she said, yeah, that's what I told my abuser. We're going to go spend a couple weeks. It's around Christmas. We're going to go with my mom. So that's why I need the crib, is
Mm.
because we're going to be there for 2 weeks. So I need the crib. I need the changing table because that just makes it easier. And then my personal documents, I made sure to hide in the packing and stuff,
Mm.
and took very minimal, only what I could fit in the Jeep. And me and my 2-year-old drove off to my mom's. And that's when I said, not coming back. We will figure out an arrangement for you seeing your child,
Mm.
but I will not be returning with you. We did come to an agreement where until they hit school age, the child would go and spend a month with them and then come back and do a month with me. And that lasted one visitation because they were hours late on the return. And when I had called and I was like, hey, where are you at? He's, oh, I'm not with them. I put them in a car with some of my friends who are like 18-year-olds.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, and he worked from home. He could have gone with them. He just chose not to do that trip back with them.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, but if he's in Iraq, no one's going to know who he belongs to. Like, why didn't
Mm.
you go? And I'm starting to get worried. I'm like, it's been hours. You can't get a hold of him. Where are you? Where's my child? And he goes, if you don't watch your mouth right now, I will call them and I will tell them to turn around and you will never see your child again. And
Mm.
I bit my tongue so hard. I was like, you're right. They probably just got lost. I know there's areas of service that get dropped. So maybe that happened and they took a wrong turn. And they thankfully got there and I was able to retrieve my son and we drove a couple hours away. And then I called him and I said, okay, no, you will
Mm.
not see your child unless it's supervised until we go to court. And then that way I know that my rights are protected because I spoke to a lawyer who said, hey, if he takes your child, it's not kidnapping, it's parenting in
Mm.
that state. So you need to make sure you're set up safely, legally. And that's why I was like, supervised visitation until we get this actually ironed out in the courts. He didn't want to do that. So
Mm.
he never saw his child again.
Ever
He,
again.
no,
Oh, wow.
never. And
That always baffles my mind when whether it's mom or dad, you just never want to see your I don't understand that. But obviously this person was already dealing with a lot of internal challenges if they
yeah,
were abusive to another human being as well.
yeah, absolutely. And when we left, he said, but I was just starting to bond with him.
At
And I'm like,
two?
it's been 2 years. Like, how
Yeah.
you like this? That's a warning. That's a red flag. Like, you
Yeah.
should have already made that bonding and, or even that desire to continue to want to make that bond and that
Yeah.
connection. And that was a really hard thing for me, is like, my child deserves to be loved and wanted by their father. And so I was hurt for them, but I understood, like, I'm doing this to protect my child. And I know that if the father wanted to be in his life, that he would make that effort because I wouldn't be separate. I can't imagine not speaking to my child again.
Yeah.
It baffles me. Yeah. But after that, it was like the straw that broke the camel's back of like decades of abuse and
Mm.
negative relationships was like, you know what? Those fairy tale movies that say that love is just this beautiful thing. Like it can't just
Mhm.
be some wonderful idea somebody thought up that doesn't actually exist. Like it's gotta freaking exist if people make these many movies out of it.
Yeah.
And if it does, why not for me?
Yeah.
Right. And then I was like, oh, why not for me is because I'm not allowing it, because I'm
Mm.
allowing all the other stuff in and not allowing in what I actually need. So, girl, we got to come up with some boundaries. We got to set some really firm boundaries and over communicate them.
Mm.
And I found that by doing that, I was able to get really clear on what I wanted, get really clear on what I didn't want,
Mhm.
and then have like guidelines that showed if somebody crossed that boundary after it was communicated and accepted, then I have to follow the rules of that boundary and we now need to separate.
Mm.
As hard as it can be, however long they love bomb me.
Mm.
And like I dated so many first dates. Just my stepdad at the time was like, you're being too picky. You should
Oh.
just have this one guy. And I was like, look, he breathes through his mouth and I already want to suffocate him, and that's not healthy.
That is not
It's
how it's supposed to be. That is
not,
not how it goes in the movies.
I'm like, that's not something I can fix. And I don't need to settle.
Hmm.
Now, I'm worth more than settling. If I settle for this and I say yes to the mouth breather that is going to drive me insane, then I'm saying no to what could be actually my
Mm.
fairy tale love.
Yeah.
And doing so, I found my fairy tale love.
Mm.
And we've been together for 10 years, not once, not one time had an argument. And so it was
Well,
like
communication is probably key to that,
communication.
right?
Oh, that's how it was built. That over communicating came into play because I realized there was this pattern of my abusers who would do something and then blame it on me for not communicating that it shouldn't have been done. And so I was like, okay, this time around, I'm making it really clear to everybody, if you do this, I'm done.
Yeah.
There's no second chances. Like this, I'm going to stick to it. And I get to kind of say, I've been abused before. That ain't going to freaking happen again,
Yeah.
and make that change. And in doing so, I have found an incredibly healthy relationship that is based on communication and boundaries, and has allowed me to create that kind of example for my 2-year-old who now looks at relationships and go, man, if they would just communicate. And I'm like, yeah.
Amazing. So when you first started like into the dating world and was that all your boundaries and communication like thoughts in your head? Was that all, did you create that all right away before you even started dating, or was it something you did as you went along? Okay, that is not something I don't want to put up with anymore. And then it built on that, or were you like ready to rock right when you went to the dating world?
Yeah, I was ready to rock, but there was definitely some additions that came along the way. As you go, oh, I didn't really think about that one as a not going to accept it.
Yeah.
But there's just the basis ones of number one, don't yell at me. We
Mhm.
are two adults. We can have a civil voice if we feel like we need to elevate our voice and we're not communicating healthily. And if you yell at me, I have a trauma response to it. I shut
Mhm.
down. I start to close off. I don't think that's healthy for our relationship. So don't yell at me. And just make that really clear. And of course, that goes two ways as well. Like I cannot elevate my voice to them because I don't like it. Why would they?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just sticking to that, and don't lie to me. If you lie to me, I can't trust a single thing you tell me. I'm going to be wondering. Now, excluding birthday surprises and
Well,
whatnot,
yeah.
obviously. I've had a couple go, okay, but what about this? I'm like, obviously that's fine. But if you are omitting
Yeah.
is a big one. Like I've had to vocalize, don't lie, don't omit. If you're not being honest, there's an issue. And if you just take that chance and are honest with me, you might find that I'm actually supportive with what's going on.
Yeah.
Like if you just give me that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you find yourself like going on dates with similar, did you in the beginning were you like, okay, that's the same kind of person as before when you obviously like you had your boundaries, you said absolutely no, but did it take you a while to change the type of person you were going on dates with and looking for?
I think I immediately went, oh, what's not been working for me is this type. And so we're going to avoid this bad boy persona imagery and stuff. And that's what I did is I went for just I'm in Arkansas, so it was like kind of country-ish boys, and like they went hunting and fishing, which was not me at all. And there was a bit of hesitation there where I'm like, oh, they're not what I'm used to. And then my mother would remind me, yeah, how was that working for you? It's,
Mm,
yep, you're right. It wasn't working, and I need to make that change. And my husband is so different from me. We're incredibly different. I'm covered in tattoos. He's got not a single one.
yeah.
Not one. I'm into painting and he's into creating like bows for bows and arrows. Like he's into guns
Cool.
and
Yeah.
things. And I'm into different things than he is. And it complements well in that we have our different things that we enjoy and then we can come together on some of the things that we have an interest, but he's complete different from anybody I had gone out with before. And I
Yeah.
honestly didn't think I had a shot with him. I sent him a hey on OkCupid. I was like, hey. And he's like, oh, hi. And I was shocked. I was like, oh, he responded. Like, because he just had this really charming smile, and all of his pictures were with him and animals, and he's a veterinarian. And I was like, he's way out of my league and
Mm,
completely different. He's not going to respond.
yeah.
And if I just gave myself that opportunity, I was like, what if he just says something? And all I had to do was say, hey, and it changed around our life. And
Mm.
he, a year after we were married, we found out that it would be easier for him to adopt if the biological father would sign away his rights. So I contacted him. He did. And now my child has been adopted by my husband and
Oh,
has his last name. And there's no more fear of if something were to happen to me, what would happen to him,
yeah. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. What was that conversation like? Did you actually reach out to the biological father yourself?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I reached out. I said, hey, my husband is looking to adopt him. But we need you to like voluntarily sign away your rights. Now, at this time, while he wasn't doing like video calls with him or seeing him, he was still paying a little bit of child support. And I said, if you sign away your rights in the time after like a year from now, then from this point on, you don't have to pay child support.
Mm.
And he said, okay. He's not really my child anyway.
Been
Did that,
present,
signed away.
so
Yeah, signed
wow.
away. So it went really smooth on that end, and I'm very thankful for
Yeah.
that. I know my situation is a very different from a lot of people's, and that they don't have that liberty
Mhm.
of someone who just doesn't care. And now, my child is thriving and healthy, and they want to do what I do, except they want to help children. And so
Mm.
it's okay. Oh, I really love my mom's a psychologist. I want to be a psychologist. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, okay.
May I ask how old they are?
They are, they'll be 13 this year.
Okay. Okay. And you said you and your current husband have been together for 10 years.
Yeah.
So how long into that did he want to adopt your child?
I think it was pretty soon after because we moved really quick. Like we knew each other for about 2 months. And then my mother got a job in another state. And so she was moving, and I, at the time, was living with her. And so I reached out to my husband and I said, hey, here's the deal. We've been dating for 2 months, and my mom's moving, and now's the opportunity. Do you want to proceed with this? Is this what you want? Do you want me and my child in your life on a long-term serious basis and have us living with you?
Mm.
Or are we done and separating ways and I'm moving to another state until I can get set up on my own? And he's, no, I want you. And so we moved in. It wasn't particularly easy because my child was going through some PTSD, I think, themselves, and that there was so much yelling and throwing of things
Mm,
that they were triggered by different things.
sure.
So night times were hard, but he stuck through. He's never treated him as anything other than my in-laws both accepted him with open, loving arms. They were like, finally, a grandbaby.
Oh,
Yes, they were very happy about that. And even with the birth of our second one, who is now, it's going to be 8 this year.
wow.
Yeah, they don't treat either of them differently. They're just a part of a loving family. And I'm very blessed in that. I get to spend so much time with them because I homeschool them. I work from home as well. I get to have that abundance of time with them as their children
Yeah,
and really loving that experience.
that's amazing. You had such a rough start to life.
Yes.
It's so nice. It's so hard when you're down in the thick of things to see that there would be a light at the end of the tunnel at some point.
Yeah.
But I do think most people get there. It's just really hard to believe when you're in the thick of it.
Yeah, and I don't think I actually fully believed or accepted it as a potential, really. I just hoped. And I think that hope got me through. Okay, I hope that there's this out there, and if there is, then I'm going to find it. And in doing that, not settling for less, I was
Yeah.
able to find it and get stable and really build up my business and help more people with my business and inspire my children to want to go into the same business. And it was all because I took a moment and went, you know what? Me and my child, we freaking deserve better.
How did you get to that point though? Because I'm like, as I think about your life being abused as a child and then abused by multiple relationships, I'm sure that there was a time period there between when you left your last abuser to finding your husband or even just starting dating. Let's go there. What did you do in that time frame to be able to build back up your self-worth and stuff? Because I imagine it was a pretty low point.
It was an interesting point between when I actually left him to the first date was a month.
Okay.
So it was a pretty quick turnaround on that because I came out, I needed like a couple of weeks were a big struggle because I would start to think, am I doing what's right for my child? They have a half brother. Am I, is separating them what's right? Is maybe I should go back and stick it out because I considered him my son too. So that was really hard. Spending 4 years raising a child that's not mine and then having to separate them from their sibling was not easy, and guilt was there. It was really hard. And so I started to feel like it was easy to excuse myself in going back. And my mother started to recognize, like, oh, the nights are getting really hard on her. So she distracted me with late night card games and just coffee and talks. And it was in those moments that she would remind me of my worth and that going back wasn't going to solve the problem. It was me accepting that kind of life and being like, okay. And if I went back, that was essentially the end of me. Like I was a fragment of a person when I left him. I was a size 1 in a dress. Like
Mm,
I 5'9" and a size 1.
mm,
Like I barely ate. So I was a stick figure. I had so much anxiety and depression. And so for those first couple of weeks, having that support and that reminder of you're worth better, you deserve better, and let me surround you with love and positivity in the meantime,
mm.
got me to the point where I was like, yeah, you know what? I do deserve better. And this is what I want and this is what I don't want. And I'm going to go find it right now because I'm not wasting time.
Yeah. That's amazing to have that month, just a month. And it sounds like you had the love and support of your family. So that's really cool
Yeah.
too. Because I imagine for some people that's quite the long journey to try to get to that point. So
Yeah.
that's amazing that you were able to heal some of that and come out of that as quickly as you did.
Yeah, and I think especially now today's society, there's so many opportunities to find support if you do not have it in your family unit or in your friend unit because you have been isolated by your abuser. There's different Facebook groups. You could even post TikToks and work through your grief and your trauma that way. Go and seek actual mental health therapists and work through therapy and actually try to do better for yourself and treat yourself better.
Mm.
Because that's when you start to go, okay, if I'm treating myself this beautiful way, why would I accept less treatment from somebody else? Then it becomes a standard for like how you accept that kind of treatment. I wouldn't talk to myself that way. How dare you talk to me that way? You
Yeah.
know?
I think that's hard too sometimes though, because I think some people would treat themselves worse than they treat other people. So to
Yeah.
come to that realization as well, that I know we're all guilty to some degree of talking down to ourselves. Because I've been asked, like, I've had people ask that before of what would you talk to your husband that way or your best friend that way or your child that way? And you're like, no, why would you talk to yourself that way? So getting to that
Yeah.
point had to be really tough to, I just think self worth is something that so many, especially women, struggle with in the world we're living in today.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is that we're in this male constructed world where
Mhm.
everything revolves around the male physique, the male hormone system with the 24-hour day versus with women, we're on a 28-day cycle
Yeah.
versus 24 hours. And so but we're not taught that well on our bodies as we're like in public education growing up. Did not learn that much about my
Mhm.
body and how to work with my cycle. Was pretty much taught how to ignore my cycle
Yeah.
and the shame around it, that it just kept this like beautiful power that you had out of reach.
Mhm.
And it just leads to like burnout because
Mhm.
you're just constantly working that 24-hour hormone cycle of the men's got and not taking into account that like on certain weeks you're a badass activity and this week you need to rest. And there's just guilt and shame around that as well. Like
Mhm.
actually taking a break and
Mhm.
resting
Yeah.
is people are like, I can't block that out of my calendar. And I'm like, yeah, you literally can. You go in there
Yeah.
and just block it out. I've done it for the rest of the year. There's
Mm.
1 week a month that's blocked out. So I'm not taking any extra calls. And it's my reminder to take care of myself because I know that that week is really hard. I get brain fog and
Mm.
exhaustion, and I'm just not in a place to actively communicate with other people.
Yeah.
So it's taking space for that, taking time when you're actually sick and take time off. Like
Yeah.
I was just recently sick, is take that time and heal yourself because you're not doing yourself the service and you're certainly not going to show up as powerful and as impactful as you could if you did things on a different day.
Yeah. So you are a business and life coach. So how did you and when in this story did you start going in that direction?
Yeah, so almost immediately after leaving, I realized now I need to actually find a way to take care of my child while actually spending time with my child. And had already been working on my abuser's business before this
Okay.
and managing their full business operation. So I came out of it with some skills. And I decided, oh, I'm going to look online. There's got to be something I can do virtually and found Upwork.com. Started off as a virtual assistant
Okay.
and built my way up, gaining more skills as I went along. Each executive I worked with would throw out a different thing like, hey, do you know how to do this? Or can you find someone who can? And I'm just super eager to learn. So I learned graphic design, website design, course development, property management. Like I went even into event management, like everything that I could possibly get my hands on. I was like, yeah, I want to do that until I built up this full list of services. And now I do full done for you operations management for seven-figure businesses.
Oh, wow.
And it just built up slowly until, oh, I have all these skills. Now I can rebrand myself as operations manager and get clients and did that. And then it's like, oh, I want to make a bigger impact, but I'm only one person. I only have so much time in a day, and I'm doing all done for you everything. I need a team. So built Managed by Magic, got a team, and trained them how to do the different things so that they could also support me in supporting my clients. And then after that was like, I've got that built up. Now what do I want to do? And it was like, I want to create a community to help other women build this kind of dream life. Like
Okay.
I've been in through the weeds and the ruts, and I have the technological skills to tell you exactly what steps to do to create your course or to edit that page on WordPress or Kajabi or whatever it is. And I will handhold you along the way, but also bringing women back that power that we've lost
Mm,
in just our feminine acknowledgement of ourselves, our self-care, in understanding our cycles, in doing the different things that have been shameful for society, and like reclaiming that power and being like, no, dream life, dream business, here I come.
mm. And it's really, society is changing a little bit in that regard towards women. Like we have so many more opportunities than previous generations did.
Mm.
But I think we still have so far to go. And there's still a lot of women that get stuck in that. What do I do? And then there's still the people who are married or in relationships and then are like stay-at-home moms and then end up divorced and then they're like, what do I do? I don't know what to do at this point in time. So do you work with a lot of women like that?
Yeah, so at every stage and in every component. So primarily like entrepreneurs at any point, if you're just starting out with an idea, we help facilitate the actual idea creation. Even to, like I said, we manage seven-figure companies. And so it's at different stages, but as entrepreneurs, life is such a big component of that. Like it
Mm,
is hand in hand. If your life and work is not balanced, things start to fall apart. And as women, we are amazing at juggling different things, but tend to have that this thing can drop over here because I'm going to take care of this person here. We're very big
mm,
on caregiving other people. And so then we tend to slack off on our care for ourselves. And so it's like we look at what do you want out of your dream life?
mm.
And everybody's dream life is different. So
Yeah.
we say, close your eyes and actually picture it. You wake up and it's your dream morning. What does that look like? At what time are you waking up? How are you starting your morning? Is there music? What kind of food? Are you making the food, or do you have a personal chef who's already made it because you don't like cooking? Do you go and take your coffee out on the porch and there's a speech and you're just going to slowly open your laptop and check your emails for 15 minutes, close it, go read a book, and you'll get back to that, spend an hour on it later in the day, surrounded by family? What does that actually look like for
Do
you?
people have a hard time with that though?
No, I think
Come.
when we start getting them going, it's okay. And we ask deeper questions that get them into, okay, if they're struggling on where to start, we start the actual prompts of, okay, 8 a.m. is your alarm going off? What time do you wake up? And so asking them questions to get them to dig deeper into what they actually want out of that day. And generally, we find that day, that person of that day, is not who we are right now. There's a lot of things that need to change in our lives for that person to be a possibility. And so we start looking at, okay, if we want that kind of day, what kind of person do you have to become for that
Mm,
day to be a thing? Is your health affecting you? Do you need to work on your health so that you have more energy to get more work done so that you can become this person? Do you need to have better habits around your morning or your evening or your actual work day? Are you shutting the laptop at a certain time every day? Or are you getting sucked into there's always more to do?
mm.
and digging into that. What does that actually look like? And then start taking actual steps to making that a reality. And for
Mhm.
me, it's like it changes as you go. I
Yeah.
was a virtual assistant. So my who I was then was very different from who I needed to be as an operations manager. And then once I became her, who she was very different from being a business owner who managed her own team on top of it. And I had to make those changes and grow. So at each step, we're always looking at, okay, what can we do next? What do we want to do now? How do we want to change and grow today?
Yeah.
And just looking at it as that opportunity to work towards who you want to become, where you can take that week off every month.
Do you deal with a lot of scarcity mindsets?
Oh, 100%. Even on the seven-figure side. And it's very different in the scarcity. For them, it's scarcity on recurring growth. Like they want more and more, and they feel like I'm at a ceiling point. I can't possibly excel where I've already hit because I've not seen growth in this in X a point in time until it's okay, let's look at what we could actually change to create that growth. And when we start looking at where they're at now, you're a $1 million business. That business is way different than a 10 and $100 million business.
Yeah.
So what does your business need to become in order to be a $100 million business? And so they start working with that kind of mindset, but it doesn't change. Like at every stage, there's fear,
Mm.
and a lot of that is scarcity, and some of it is scarcity of time. I
Yeah.
don't have enough time to actually dedicate to this when it's no, you're letting Parkinson's law get the best of you, where you give yourself all day to do something and it takes all day to do it.
Mm.
Whereas if you gave yourself 15 minutes, you could get it done in 15 minutes.
Mm.
But you let it go until the last point, and then now you're rushed and you feel like frazzled on actually doing it. It's last minute, so it's not as quality as it could be. So it's like actually give yourself the time to work through things step by step and know there's struggles all along the way.
Yeah.
And fear is just there to keep you living small. Not gonna protect you from death, like a fear of a rattlesnake, completely logical. You should be afraid of that. Being afraid of going out on stage and speaking to people, yeah, that's a logical fear, but that's also an opportunity, growth that doesn't risk your life. And on the other side of that, you'll find, oh, maybe it wasn't that hard, or you find areas for improvement. And so
Mhm.
just look at that as, okay, this is what I learned this time, and I'm going to utilize it so that I can get better at it next time.
What are some tools that you have for people that that are more of that? You're talking about work-life balance, right? And so usually those people that don't have that are a bit of workaholics. So
Mhm.
how do you work with people on changing their mindset around that?
I generally find that workaholics tend to still live by a calendar.
Okay.
And so we block out their calendar. We make their fun time a reality. So it's like, number one, we're going through your calendar. We don't schedule your meetings. We don't schedule this. We're scheduling fun. What are you doing this month that's for you? We're blocking that out. Then we go into family relationships. What are we doing romantically? What are you doing for your kids? We're blocking that stuff out first.
Okay.
All of that stuff goes into your calendar and it's secured. It is time dedicated to those people because those people deserve that time and your life will be better by giving it to them. And it's like we say, just try it out for a month.
Yeah.
Just 1 month of actually putting in the time, blocking that stuff out first, then add in your meetings. And
Yeah.
then add in your work batching, like where you're going to create your content or actually put that in there. Put in like 30-minute blocks of I'm working on my website. It's secure. Like that block is actually reserved for that specific task. So I'm not giving myself all day to do it. It's not taking all day to do it. It's going to take that 30 minutes to do it because that's what I've allotted for it. And then give that a try for a month, see what worked, see what didn't, make adjustments, try again, do that again. And then by the third month, you should have a schedule set up in a process that works for you and has created a healthier relationship with you, your friends, your family, your children, your colleagues, even. Because if you're coming in all the time, working from start to end, you're going to notice that your energy's not really there. You're not as optimistic. You're a little bit cranky. And that kind of energy has an effect on the people around you. They start to pick up on, oh, this person's got negative energy. They're really cranky. And it can affect the way other people feel. They might withdraw from you. And so relationships get damaged
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a hairdresser, and so I took a class a while back that said, I'm trying to remember the exact context of it, but it was basically like if you are trying to like not book a day on your schedule, because I think as hairdressers, we've been taught for years and years to that scarcity mindset that if you don't take anything and everything and work like a dog, you're not going to make any money and you're not going to further your career. So that's changing now, but they said to block out that day and put on there the most important thing to you. So if you have kids, it's this is my day with my kids, or this is my day with my husband, or this is my day to do whatever it is. Even if you just have a dog, like this
Yeah.
is my day with my dog, or put something in there. Then when you look at it and that on there, you're like, whatever is going to completely prevent you from scheduling clients that day. And I thought that was a really great tip because that's a really great way to change your mindset around the time off that you're trying to give yourself.
Yeah, and it's the money mindset is a big one too.
Mm.
Scarcity, especially as entrepreneurs at different levels, no matter what level you're at, money is a concern. It should be. You should be focused on your money and what's coming in and what's going out, and looking at debt as an investment, making those kind of mindset shifts, but also around the concept of what you had said is that you're taught this scarcity mindset that if you don't work your butt off, you're not going to make the money.
Mm.
But when we look at it, there are people who make $100,000 for a haircut. They are actually out there. It sounds freaking crazy, but if there's people out there charging $100,000 for a haircut, you can charge more for your time as well.
And that
And
all boils down to thinking like you're worth it too. Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah,
it's
there was another thing we learned too that was with pricing and charging people or like emotional discounting, which I think as hairdressers we do that a lot. We build these personal relationships with these clients. We know a lot of their own financial situations just based on talking with them through the years, and we're very guilty at emotional discounting. And then this was reframed to me in the sense of that's money you're taking from your child's college, from dinner this week, from whatever it is. And I just reframing a lot of the stuff in our minds. When you look at it from that perspective, it changes everything. You're like, oh, I don't want to take from my kids' college fund or my family's grocery bill for the week. That sounds way worse than just, oh, but I really
yeah.
wanted to be nice to this person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
do
you're
you
more
teach people a
personal.
lot of that kind of, do you really have to just work with people on changing their mindset around a lot of this stuff that we're conditioned
Yes.
to think?
Yes, our minds are what affect everything. The way we think affects the choices that we make, which affects the results that we get. And so if you want to change your results, we first start with the mindset. And a lot of that does stem around that fear, that scarcity, that feeling of not being worthy enough, the imposter syndrome side of it. And that, like, I remind people, yeah, there's $100,000 haircuts. I talked to someone who does custom screen printing on shirts, and they're like, I don't know if I could charge $100 for this custom screen print art. is like one of a kind. And I'm like, you sound ridiculous. Like, what do you mean? I just saw a plain white t-shirt for $10,000, honey.
Mm,
So if someone can sell a plain white t-shirt for $10,000, you think you can sell your custom, one of a kind art shirt for more than $100? Let's up it
yeah.
because that's not just your mindset, but also the messaging around it. Here's one of a kind,
Yeah.
and people will pay it.
Yeah.
The person wanting the haircut, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I should take their money. They're like, please take my money because I
Yeah.
need this haircut.
Because that person, even if they don't have the money, they may want to be that person that's, I pay $200 for my haircut or
An
whatever,
investment in themselves. Yes. That's how I look at it too, is I make these kind of investments because I want to become this kind of person who does these kind of things, takes care of herself. A $200 haircut, that's an investment towards my better business because if I feel like I look better, I'm going to feel
Mhm.
better. I'm going to come forward more confident, more authentic, which is going to gravitate more people toward me and my business. I'm going to make more sales. So I'm looking at that an actual investment into myself. And that's what a lot of people do when they buy your services. They look
Yeah.
at what kind of problem can this person solve for me? And that's
Mhm.
really all they care about.
Yeah.
So when we get into that imposter syndrome of who am I to create this course or mastermind, I see another course out there like this already. So people don't need more from me. And it's okay, how many t-shirts are there? There's so many different kinds by different brands with different types of materials. There's only one you with
Mhm.
your knowledge, your experience, your history, and only one you that can actually connect to the people who are waiting to connect with you because they can't connect with the other person.
Mm.
Because not everybody is the right fit. They're not going to be the right fit for you sometimes, and they're not going to be the right fit for your competition, but vice versa. And then in that way, you actually still get to help people by solving their problems.
Yeah.
And then one thing I learned from a mentor when I had this really big imposter syndrome about like just my appearance. Oh, I'm covered in tattoos. Who's gonna want
Mm.
knowledge from me? I've had this hard life. I did these drugs. Who's gonna care about my
Oh.
business and life coaching? And they said, literally, no one gives a fuck about you. They don't care who you are. They don't care. They're not like, oh, this person's selling this course. I must know who she is first. They're looking at what does your course do for them? How does it change their life? Because everybody who buys is buying based off of emotion and
Mhm.
usually in trying to solve a problem. They're not looking at necessarily the brand all the time or
Mhm.
the person behind it. They're looking at what can you actually do for me?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're covered in tattoos. No, they're like, what? You got this? You can teach me how to do this?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. That's great. Before we started recording, we were talking a little bit about you being a single mom. So, as we're talking about your coaching and your life coaching and things like that, and you mentioned that you are homeschooling your kids too. Why don't you speak to some of the maybe single moms, single parents out there, or even just entrepreneurial? Oh, okay. I don't know how that
Yeah.
came out, but women who are trying to be moms and work and all of that stuff.
It's so easy. I don't know if it's maybe my kids. Maybe it's my kids are just like little angels. But like I hear a lot of problems of I couldn't do that because I'm afraid my child wouldn't give me the space to work. I can't homeschool because I don't have the time or the knowledge of what to actually do. I can't start a business because I'm too busy with working full time and barely making ends meet. But it all comes down to scheduling and
Mhm.
communication. So actually setting aside the time to do specific work
Mhm.
at periods of time when your children are more quiet or relaxed. So there's like the evening times are reserved for me and my kids. Like I get off the computer and we hang out. We just did some painting yesterday, just spending time with them. But they know that there's certain parts of the day where if I'm in my office it's quiet time. It's not 5 hours straight of quiet time. It's little bits of time here and there that's quiet time. They go and watch a movie in the game room and they're quiet until I'm done, and then they shout around like it's done. We don't have to be quiet no more.
Mhm.
But they're very good at like understanding like this is my time for work and I need to focus on work because it gives me the ability to stay home with you guys and to spend this time with you. So we need that kind of respect of this time. And they do really well in respecting that once we communicate it. And so it's give your kids a chance, communicate with them, let them know this is really important time. Separate your office, make sure it's a segmented area where the children know that if you're there, it's time to be quiet. We don't come and bug mom when she's at her desk. And then afterward, give them the opportunity to scream and shout and dance around because they've held that in so long.
Yeah.
Let it out and do it with them because it's fun.
Yeah.
And do it at your own pace. Like it's as parenting, every child is different.
Mm-hmm.
In education, every child is different. So I have my bachelor's of science in educational studies. I was going to be a teacher before COVID hit, and then I
Mm-hmm.
changed my path and went towards my master's in psychology. So I learned a lot about education. I worked in classrooms. I was a special education paraprofessional for a while. And so I got to learn how to actually build curriculum, find state standards, and all these other resources. So I've been letting people know, especially lately with a current climate, that there has been so much mention of you should just homeschool your kid. And all these parents are coming out, I don't know how to do that. And so I'm like, hey, just reach out to me. You just email me, hello at Managed by Magic. I will find these resources for you. You just need to let me know their ages and their state that you're in, and I will get you the information you need so that you can legally withdraw your child and homeschool them, and resources to let you see what type of homeschooling you need to legally do based off of the state, or what kind of options are available for you if some states are more flexible. Like Arkansas is incredibly flexible. You just have to say a notice of intent to homeschool letter every year goes to the board. And then you have to say that your curriculum will include major subjects, but then there's no testing around that unless you take in some of their grant programs. And so you can do things like unschooling, which is the concept of letting the child lead their learning through real life experiences, and have found great results with that with some of our children. Some of them need more structured
Yeah.
curriculum and more guidance because they've got so much energy and can't really focus. And so there has to be a more rigid curriculum for those kinds of children. But it's like you get to figure out what works best for your kid and for you and go with that and give yourself that grace to try it out and to sometimes fail. It's not always going to be a smooth, easy process. Sometimes we have that mess,
Yeah.
and that's okay. As parents, like we're still all trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Every parent is just doing the best they can with the tools they have.
yeah, absolutely.
That was really good advice. So, for anybody who's looking to work with you, or apparently if they want any help or advice on
Yeah.
the homeschooling
Yeah.
situation, I will link ways to get in touch with you, your website, and then you said, let's see, you've got a free resource online.
Yeah, I've got tons of free resources. So you can go to my website and just click on resources, and there's downloads there for how to create a logic condition quiz so that you can learn more about the leads coming into your business, how to actually create a course, and my free Facebook group for women entrepreneurs.
Oh, amazing. We'll link that in the notes as well. Thank you, Kaylea, for coming on here and sharing your story. I know that's not an easy story to share. I've unfortunately fortunately and unfortunately had a lot of people on here with domestic abuse situations. I realize that's not an easy thing to talk about and go back to. So thank you so much for being open and sharing your story. And hopefully there's some listening that may find some solace in it and know that they're not alone and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I also just admire you so much for what you've done and what you've built, and your business sounds incredible. Anybody looking for some coaching, definitely reach out. Do you have any parting words for my listeners?
Just remember that you are worthy of a magical life.
Ooh, I love that. We are. We're worthy of the life we deserve, for sure. I
Yeah.
love that magical life. Thank you so much for coming on, Kaylea. I really appreciate this conversation. It was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for listening. And we'll see you on the next episode.